This Charlie Kirk theory is the wildest one yet. Everyone on the internet questioning what really happened. There's a movie called Snake Eyes from 1998. Politician who gets shot in the neck. His name is Charles Kirkland.
They warned me not to go here. TikTok holds some of the darkest secrets in the entire world, but no one dares to go near it. But fortunately for you, I snuck into the darkest part of TikTok and they did not catch me. And you're gonna want to watch to the end of the video because what I'm about to expose is going to alter your reality. And make sure you don't watch alone because this is gonna get terrifying. What's even scarier than the TikToks we're about to watch today is the fact that 75% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe for more scary videos. Thank you.
Okay, I know this is about to sound fake, but these scientists in Japan just literally figured out how to erase memories from your brain using blue light. Imagine going through something traumatic and instead of getting years of therapy, a doctor just shines a blue light to your brain and then boom, the memory's gone. Guys, this is not Black Mirror right now. This is actual research from Japan and this is real. So scientists actually just tested this on mice by using something called optogenetics. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically where they hack brain cells so that they can be controlled. They trained the mice to fear a shock and then whenever they lit up the fear center of the brain with blue light, boom, that long-term memory just vanished. What makes this whole thing even crazier is that these scientists are saying that they can actually switch the memory back on by using that same exact light. Like literally turning fear into a lamp that you could just unplug. This is not just one study right now. These other labs in Japan have now found ways to block memories in fruit flies and even restore lost memories in mice who had amnesia. Right now they're saying that this only works on animals because obviously they're testing. But if this ever actually makes it to humans, we're literally talking about being able to fully remove memories of PTSD and traumatic experiences from people's brains. So is this going to be the future of mental health or is this the scariest invention that humanity's ever made?
How about we don't do that? I think that would probably be a better idea. This could have a lot of potential good uses. Knowing them, they would wipe our memories and turn us into slaves.
The Chernobyl disaster was far more horrifying than you were ever told, and was far worse than you learned. But why? Imagine that you just woke up in the middle of the night to a deep rumble shaking your windows. You look outside and see a strange blue glow lighting up the horizon. It's coming from the nearby Chernobyl power plant. You think it's just a fire, nothing serious, so you go back to bed. The next morning, the air smells metallic, but everything seems normal. People walk their dogs, children play outside, and a light dust falls from the sky like snow. You breathe it in, feeling a faint taste of metal in your mouth, not realizing every breath is filling your lungs with deadly radiation. Meanwhile, just a few kilometers away, firefighters are rushing toward the blaze. They think it's just a roof fire. No masks, no protection, just bravery and confusion. Within minutes, they begin collapsing. Their faces pale, their hands blister, and their vision fades. Back in Pripyat, people start to feel sick. Nausea, headaches, dizziness, but no one tells you the truth. For 36 hours, life continues as normal until buses suddenly arrive and soldiers in masks tell everyone to evacuate. You're told it's only for a few days. You pack a small bag, leave your home behind, and never return.
I swear, no story has a happy ending anymore. All these people grew up thinking they were gonna have a Disney Channel type of life, but no. They got poisoned and they got their home taken away from them.
Extra Morbid Facts, Part 44. 18-year-old Kylie Montero thought she was starting her future, newly graduated, 11 weeks pregnant, and dreaming of naming her baby girl Eleanor. But instead, she walked straight into a nightmare. Her boyfriend, 22-year-old Gregory Groom, had a violent history she tried to escape, even hiding in a domestic abuse shelter for 3 weeks. But like too many victims before her, she went back hoping he'd change. On August 6, 2025, during a late-night visit to his house, an argument turned terrifying when Gregory threw her to the ground, pulled her hair, and started her. Knowing something was seriously wrong, she sent one last chilling text to her sister. "My phone is at 4%. If I die, it was Greg." Moments later, he reportedly in the neck and chest, killing not just Kylie, but also the unborn child she was excited to raise. Instead of calling for help, he spent hours digging a grave in his own backyard, and around sunrise, he shoved her body into the shallow hole like trash. For 13 days, Kylie's family begged for answers while Gregory acted innocent, until police finally found her buried behind his house. He was arrested and has pleaded not guilty.
Orcas are way more disturbing than you actually thought, and are the most feared animal in the ocean. But why? First off, orcas literally harvest sharks' livers. They'll target great whites, learning to flip them upside down, activating something called tonic immobility, temporarily paralyzing them, then ripping out the shark's liver, eating it, and leaving them behind. But it gets worse, as orcas torture seals for fun, playing a game where they'll take turns going up to seals and launching them with their tails, reaching up to 50 feet high, constantly throwing the seal over and over until it finally dies and eating it. Even more horrible, when penguins are resting on icebergs, the orcas will group up and swim together to create giant waves, knocking them off the ice, letting it crawl back up and knocking it down over and over, continuing to practice this hunting tactic until they've had enough training and eating it. But the most brutal thing they do is chase down and harass mother whales with their children. Since the mother is a threat, they use a tactic to tire them out instead, following the whales for hours until they get extremely exhausted. When the mother can't defend anymore, they'll take her baby and eat it alive in front of her.
A 13-year-old killed his classmate because he wanted to try out what his flesh tasted like. He then described the boy's flesh as tasting like breaded chicken. I can't even make that up. The picture above me is of the victim. His name is Mohammed. His friend is the one that killed him. His friend's name is Yusuf, and this happened in Egypt. Apparently they were outside, and his friend hit him over the head with a wooden stick, and he then got a chainsaw and started cutting up his body into little pieces and eating it. When asked about why he did this, the kid said he was inspired by video games and movies. The fact that the kid was even curious about eating flesh at the age of 13 is absolutely insane to me. They found dismembered pieces of the boy under a bridge and all over a pool. His body parts were just everywhere, and some of it was in this kid's backpack too. The police made him reenact his crimes just to see exactly how graphic it was, and I mean, it was pretty graphic, obviously. They then made the child show them exactly where he disposed of his friend's body. And he really disposed of it all over the city. Thousands of people gathered and prayed for his funeral like the day after. The kid underwent a psychiatric evaluation and he was held in a juvenile correctional facility for 4 days, but then he was transferred to another facility. Egypt's government is now trying to pinpoint exactly what kind of media, what type of games he was playing to just enact this violent behavior that he had towards his friend. They also want more strict monitoring on like social gatherings and supervision of children, because stuff like this, this is just out of the blue. No one could have expected this to happen. And like I said, the kid is undergoing a full psychological screening, drug testing, everything like that right now. It's just unfortunate too because, Mohammed thought he was hanging out with his friend Yusuf. Little did he know Yusuf was going to bash his head with a stick and cut him up. Also, to be this young committing these types of crimes is just wild. Whenever I hear about these cannibal cases, it always reminds me of the Issei Sagwa cases and that guy in Germany, Armin Mewes. They're both very, very disturbing and sick cases, but those two were both grown men. They weren't, 13 years old like the kid here. And just a reminder again, the picture above me is of the victim. They don't have any pictures of the suspect. I'm assuming it's to do with his age and privacy concerns. What are your thoughts?
What is going on? When I was 13, I was playing Fortnite and hating broccoli. Now we got kids sliming out their homies and cutting them up and eating them? This dude ate his homie and said he tasted like a chicken nugget. And this is not a drill. This is a real story. What is going on?
Let's talk about the human version of Pennywise known as Bob Gray, because a lot of people out there don't know who he is or what he did. So, hey, as your horror movie guy, I got you. Now, when it comes to Bob Gray in that time period of Pennywise's life, we hardly know anything about him. We saw him in that scene with Bev in It Chapter 2, but besides that, we don't know anything about him. The only thing we know about Bob Gray is that this is the form Pennywise took to blend in with society.
You haven't saved any of them.
Now, one of the biggest things about Bob Gray that I've been seeing a lot of people on this app say, which isn't true at all, is that Bob Gray was a regular person that came to town as Pennywise, and Pennywise saw that and was like, I want to take that form. Yeah, that did not happen, like, at all, bro. And before you guys go, oh, well, in It Chapter 2, the old lady in Bev's apartment, bro, the old lady was it. The old lady was fucking lying, bro. This is Pennywise, not some regular fucking dude named Bob Gray. Oh, but Evan, he had to be a regular person, bro, because if that's not true, what about when Andy Muschietti said that he wanted to make a third movie? Well, guess what? That didn't actually fucking happen because the third movie didn't come out. And trust me, guys, don't try to go, it happened in the book, because, dog, as somebody that read this book multiple fucking times, no the fuck it didn't. Anyways, y'all, yeah, when it comes to Bob Gray, he was never, and I mean never, ever, 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 ever a regular fucking person, okay? Okay. Now, if Andy Muschietti wants to make some new lore for the It prequel series, that's one thing, okay? That's one thing, but as of right now, Pennywise was always Bob Gray. He wasn't some regular person.
Why did evil people like this exist? During the 1920s, there was a man named Philip D. Cupp who owned a hot air balloon business based in Miami, Florida. For years, his business was highly successful, taking customers over the ocean to sightsee. But by 1925, disappearances in the area had increased almost 500%, and the authorities were baffled. During the investigation, a local boater reported seeing something strange, a man falling from a hot air balloon. By the time the boater reached him, it was too late. The balloon was already heading back to shore. Authorities questioned Philip, but he claimed he hadn't given any rides that day. He suggested it must have been one of the other balloon companies, but there was a problem. Philip was the only person in the area who even owned a hot air balloon. So investigators came up with a plan. They booked a solo ride for an undercover officer named Joffrey, hoping to catch him in the act. At first, everything seemed normal. The balloon rose high above the ocean. The view was beautiful. Then Philip broke the silence. He leaned in and said, "What goes up must go down." A violent struggle broke out mid-air. From the ground, the authorities watched as the balloon shook violently, swaying back and forth until it suddenly plummeted into the sea below. Neither man survived. And later, investigators uncovered the horrifying truth. Philip D. Cupp had been responsible for over 400 disappearances in the Miami area.
Bro, look at him. Just look at him. Just look at this dude. You're telling me you looked at this dude and you didn't even suspect a thing. Oh, it's not good to be a judgmental person, but just look at him. Does he look like you'd be safe around him? If someone told me there was a missing person and the last one seen with him was this dude, it's him. It's him, bro.
This Charlie Kirk theory is the wildest one yet. I've been pretty somber and silent for this whole thing, just focused on my family and promoting my film. But I see everyone on the internet questioning what really happened.
I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
From a filmmaker's perspective, this theory about the movie Snake Eyes and its connections to the Charlie Kirk event is so wild and shocking, I had to fact check it for myself. Check this. There's a movie called Snake Eyes from 1998 starring Nicolas Cage, and it's about a politician who gets shot in the neck in front of a huge crowd at a boxing match, and his name is Charles Kirkland.
Mr. Charles Kirkland. Secretary Kirkland was shot in the neck.
And the fighter on the title card, his name is Tyler the Executioner. You can see it on the marquee in the opening scene, along with the date of the fight and the assassination, September 10th. Some say it's September 19th due to the pixelation, but even still in numerology, that's the number 10. There's also a woman in a white suit with a blonde wig who's close to Kirkland at the assassination. And it gets even crazier. The movie was filmed at Trump's Taj Mahal Tower. Charlie Kirk's dad is known for architecting the Trump Tower. Obviously, the marketing has suspicious hand gestures, but take a look at the tagline, "Believe everything but your eyes." Everything is filmed at this event, hundreds of angles, reviewed by authorities, and still nobody knows what's real. Tyler, the executioner, ends up being a decoy whose confession unravels the whole case, while the alleged sniper is a Palestinian terrorist angry over the Pentagon sending weapons to Israel. And get this, after the fight in the movie, the arena is set to be renovated.
Before it is gutted and completely renovated.
Just like the arena in Utah was renovated days later.
The university is already making some changes.
And all of this is happening during Hurricane Jezebel in the movie, the biblical deceiver.
Hurricane Jezebel!
But also the publication that went viral for hiring witches to curse Charlie Kirk in the weeks leading up to the event. Look, I don't want to downplay how traumatic this has all been. It's messy and it's hard to know what's true or what we can even really do about it. But I do know one conspiracy that's actually as real as it gets. A 2,000-year-old cover-up revealed in our band.
Just from looking at this photo, you would probably never guess that this woman is carrying a human head inside of this pot. This is Tamara Samsonova, otherwise known as the Granny Ripper. In the year 2000, her husband mysteriously disappeared, and police had initially suspected her, but their searches for him yielded no results. After her husband vanished, Tamara began renting out a room in her apartment. She began renting the room to a 44-year-old tenant who also disappeared. And then in March of 2015, Tamara met a 79-year-old woman named Valentina. The two of them were introduced through a friend, and they became so close house that Valentina opened her home up to Tamara while Tamara's apartment was being renovated. During the few months that Tamara had lived with Valentina, she began to kind of take on a caretaker role for her, but the issue is that Tamara began to like Valentina's apartment a little too much. So when it came time to leave, she refused to move out. So Tamara devised a plan. She persuaded a pharmacist to sell her the prescription drug known as phenazepam and then bought Valentina's favorite food dish. She mixed them inside of her dinner, and later that night, after Valentina had eaten the concoction, Tamara found her body lying on the kitchen floor and began it. In the apartment CCTV footage, you can see Tamara carrying a pot that contains Valentina's head down the stairs and out the door of the apartment complex. She also wrapped Valentina's legs in a shower curtain and dumped them near a pond where they were later found. The next day, police showed up at Valentina's apartment, and to their surprise, Tamara answered the door. Police forced their way inside, where they found traces of blood in the bathroom and the fastenings left from the torn-off shower curtain. They also found Tamara's diary, which contained details of not only Valentina's unaliving, but up to 14 more. She also wrote about eating her victims in organs and later confessed to police that she had done this. It's not clear exactly how many unalivings she's responsible for, but it is believed that she is responsible for her previous tenant and her husband's disappearance.
So now we got grandma sliming people out too. What is going on? Sometimes it's really the people that you least expect. I would not expect this old lady to be an actual serial killer. And putting her head in a pot and carrying it down the stairs, are you crazy? Well, clearly, because it's genuinely insane to me that this stuff is real.
Explaining terrifying facts about children's cartoons. Pinocchio is actually worse than Annabelle. Yeah, guys, if you really knew the original story of Pinocchio, you'd realize he's basically the devil himself, just in a wooden version. That's because in the original version, Pinocchio is so disturbing that if he ever faced Chucky one-on-one, Chucky wouldn't even stand a chance. And just like many stories or characters have dark original versions, Pinocchio does too. The movie made by Disney is just a watered-down version of the real events. The original story was written by Carlo Collodi, and in it, Geppetto finds a piece of wood that can talk. When he finishes carving Pinocchio's arms and legs, the puppet kicks him, steals his wig, and runs away into the forest. That's when the famous talking cricket, the one Disney turned into Jiminy Cricket, appears. The cricket tells Pinocchio not to be so rebellious, to respect Geppetto because he's the one who gave him life. But instead of listening, Pinocchio grabs a hammer and kills the cricket, leaving him flat like a pancake. There are many other horrible things Pinocchio does in the original story, but the most disturbing part happens near the end. Pinocchio is being chased by two thieves. They finally capture him, but since he has nothing of value to offer, they decide he must be punished. They tie him to a tree in a way I can't describe here on TikTok. And yes, tied up like that, Pinocchio can't breathe and eventually dies.
Taylor Swift concert. This is like the ritual that she did up on stage. About to show you a video that a fan took at the concert. Yes! Summon the demon! In case you didn't hear it, he said summon the demons, and that post like went super viral, and she was in the comment section like then hyping it up. Like none of this really surprises me. I mean, Satan was the angel of music. At this point, I just don't understand how you don't see the programming going on. You're infatuated.
I'm just sort of curious how long it takes most people to look at this photo and notice that there's something wrong with the background of it. Because I had originally found this on a paranormal subreddit and people were talking about the background. So of course, naturally, I zoom in. I'm going to zoom in for you. Everybody's talking about the background. I'm looking over in this direction. I'm also looking way at the top here above the casket because the picture itself, let's talk about that. I don't have full context for this photo. My best guess is that it was a girl who somehow had access to like a funeral home or caskets, and she's in the casket making like a dark humor joke, right? Background thing. Everybody's talking about the background and that something looks off. I'm looking over here until somebody points my direction to whatever this is. What is that? There are so many elements of this strange shadow to me that actually do look like a face. If I'm crazy here, but like, does this looks like the outline of a jaw? That's the mouth. This is a nose, and these two are eyes. That looks like a face next to her. I enhanced the picture to try to sharpen up some of the details and see what I'm actually looking at. It looks even more like a face to me. What is this photo?
The Ice Age was a lot deadlier than what you thought, and should have been the end of the human species. But why? Firstly, humans were one of the weakest beings and had no fur, meaning just by stepping outside you could instantly go blind and freeze to death due to constant blizzards, needing to stay sheltered in dark caves for days on end until it cleared up. But it gets worse, as you are constantly being hunted, where saber-tooths or short-faced bears standing over 11 feet tall would hunt you during the day, and even if you waited until night, direwolves the size of you you would hunt you down as well. But even worse, you couldn't grow crops, so you were forced to go outside and face all of these predators without a choice. Equipped with only stone tools and bones as your main weapons to catch food and survive. Needing to sacrifice multiple friends within your group just for every meal. But worst of all, you were statistically supposed to die before age 25 to 35 since this was the average lifespan. Where the human population at this time dropped so low, it was said we only had a few thousand left in the world, with an average group size of around 20 to 50 people at most, or sometimes much lower, being the hardest time period to ever live in.
All humans are suffering from a zoo mentality.
Oh, why?
So we're not supposed to be living how we're living. The zoo mentality, it pretty much states like how animals react to being in a simulated environment, right? Now, they have everything they need, but it's simulated. It's not exactly how we're supposed to get it. It's not exactly how they're supposed to be living.
Because it's not feeding
real.
It to them.
It's not real. In the same way as us.
Yeah.
We're not farming our own food. We're not the one hunting our own meat.
People are making it.
People are making for us. So in a sense, we kind of make our own simulated environment. So what happens to that is it kind of decreases our motivation to go out and get things because it's already prepared.
Exactly.
The zoo mentality thing, I think it even comes straight from social media too.
Okay.
Because we're kind of being entertained in every sense. You don't have to necessarily go and see people.
Oh, you're actually right.
Right? So you can imagine during COVID, the reason people have social anxiety is because we were just watching people online.
Yeah.
And that's what was filling our need for human communication.
Yeah, fam.
It's not that it's a bad thing.
It's not, but it's like we're like a cat and the internet is just like, you know, like a little cat toy and we're just like this.
These higher elites drink human blood to get high, and just how can stimulate you and make you feel on top of the world. Drinking human blood could give you a greater feeling. In particular, they want the human blood from children in fear. And I will try to explain the science behind that briefly. Now, as a child, your blood is more pure, but if they can instill fear in you before they kill you, all that adrenaline that comes from the fear, it ends up in the blood that they take from you.
For entertainment purposes only, before they start with the strikes. However, let me hit you with two cases, absolutely creepy. Type in the name Miyazaki. He's from Japan and it happened in 1988. This guy abducted loads of young girls, mutilated them, and police confirmed that he drank the blood of one of the victims. Type in Marcelo Costa de Andre from Brazil. This man killed many young boys and admitted to drinking the blood of the victims. So before anyone says misinformation, ask yourself, what do you think the most evil and wickedest people on the planet do?
Can't people just be normal and just drink water? Like, I don't even care, bro. Drink maple syrup if it's really that bad. Like, but this is too far. Obviously, that was just a joke. Like, I know there's a deeper reason why they do this, but it's still just gross. Like, I don't know if it's to, like, look young or something, but most of these rich dudes are, like, 40 years old and balding anyway. So, whatever they're doing is not working.
Leopard seals are far deadlier than what you thought, and are way more terrifying than what they seem. But why? First off, they're absolutely massive, over 12 feet long and weigh over 1,300 pounds, equivalent to 2 full-grown grizzly bears. Not only that, their teeth are extremely sharp, specifically made to bite through flesh. But how is this scary? Well, leopard seals are known for being extremely stealthy, doing things like floating near breathing holes or cracks, peeking through motionless. And when a penguin passes through, they'll explode upwards and pull you under. Or sometimes they'll even lurk in the darkness under iceberg edges for hours, quietly waiting without making bubbles until something finally drops in front of them. And if you were to try to outswim them, they can swim up to 23 miles per hour, easily catching up to you no matter how far you got. But it gets worse once they get you. They'll do things like thrashing penguins around in their jaws, skinning them alive with their teeth, making them easier to eat. Or even more brutal, they'll let you escape and swim away as a joke, and then bite you again over and over until you eventually die. Known for killing tens of thousands of animals in its lifetime, making it the second most deadly on the Antarctica food chain.
If you're going to think about somebody that's supposed to keep her safety as a top priority, a lot of people might think about doctors. This guy right here though, the exact opposite, completely evil. This creepy TikTok video that I got tagged in shows a couple different images of this doctor. He looks pretty normal, pretty standard. The caption says, POV, you're an old lady in England in 1994, your doctor gives you an injection, and now you're starting to feel dizzy, and your vision fades. The individual that this slideshow is referring to is Dr. Harold Shipman. This guy is widely regarded to have one of the highest body counts of any modern day serial killer, with estimates of around 250 or more. He would go after older patients and either prescribe them too much medication, the wrong type of medication, or inject too much himself into their body and then sign off on their passing. He was eventually caught, but only served 4 years behind bars before he removed himself from the equation. The exact motives behind his crimes are unknown. It's a very strange one though, because there's not a lot of similarities between him and other prolific people that have done the same thing as him.
Thousands of people in Sweden have received a microchip. I've been hearing about this since I was 12 in like 2012. At that time, I'm sure a lot less people had received this microchip. That's supposed to be the size of a grain of rice or even smaller, I think they've said. But now apparently a bunch more people have received this microchip in Sweden, of course. And like I said, when I heard about this in 2012, I was certain that this would be linked with the Mark of the Beast technology at the very least. What's taking place in Sweden right now and what's happening across the whole entire globe, the entire world, for those people who don't believe it's a globe, it's biblical, it's prophetic. We're watching a push for a one world government, we're watching a push for a one world currency, and ultimately there will be a push for a one world religion. According to my analytics, there are some people who tune in and they are in Sweden. So if you are in Sweden and you've seen what's happening over there firsthand, please feel free to express at your own volition what you've experienced in Sweden, what you've seen. I'm sure we're all interested to hear and find out. Now, by no means, I am not saying that this microchip that the people are receiving in their hand in Sweden is the Mark of the Beast, but what I will say is that it's going to be a similar application. When the Mark of the Beast is rolled out, when the Man of Sin is revealed and he's pushing his Mark of the Beast out on the world, it's going to be a similar application, whereas the Bible tells us it will be in your hand or in your forehead. And so we've spoken about that a bunch. You guys know of Neuralink, that's supposed to go in your brain to give you all types of artificial intelligent capabilities within your own brain, right, to make you an enhanced human. The Bible tells us about this in Daniel, and it speaks about the kingdom of iron and clay, right? I would implore you guys to do research on the book of Daniel, specifically that dream in which he saw the giant man Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and seek the Lord in prayer and get some revelation of your own. And guys, these are the days we live in. It's prophetic, it's biblical, and it's happening. It's happening slowly, but it's happening quicker than ever before. So let's be awake, let's be vigilant. God bless.
Definitely don't get a microchip implanted in your hand. I didn't know I'd have to ever give that advice, but today's the day. So just don't do this. You don't know who's in control of what. You're just giving away your freedom at that point. You're giving away your soul if you let someone implant technology that they can control inside of your body.
One thing that I will never be able to wrap my head around is how this little boy was killed in broad daylight in a park where it was witnessed by other kids. Actually, I take that back. He wasn't just killed. He was slaughtered. His throat was cut from ear to ear, and it was so deep that his spinal cord was showing, and his area, as well as flesh from his butt and thighs, were removed, and none of it has ever been found. So many people saw his killer, and so far, this composite sketch has been shared worldwide. Yet whoever did this is still out there. In 2020, police announced that Christian Bruckner, the main suspect in the Madeleine McCann case, could be responsible. And it's crazy to me how much he looks like the composite sketch. But this case is still unsolved, and it is incredibly disturbing, so let's talk about it. This is Tristan Brubach. He was 13 years old when he was in broad daylight at a park filled with people in 1998. Tristan was described as super shy but really sweet, and he was known to be very street smart. His mom died by suicide 3 years prior to his untimely death, and it left Tristan's dad raising him alone in Hearst, a suburban on the outskirts of Frankfurt, Germany. This was a really tough time for him, but he found joy and spent most of his time just walking around his neighborhood. He also really loved animals, and although he was super shy, he would go out of his way to approach strangers who were walking their dogs just to be able to pet them. them. This brings us to March 26, 1998. That day, Tristan went to school like usual, but about halfway through the day, he started to not feel very good. He complained about his back hurting really bad, so the school excused him at around 1:30 p.m. Shortly after this, a fellow student saw him on a bus headed to the Frankfurt Hearst railway station. This student was one of Tristan's friends, but he was on a separate bus. But he saw him once more at around 2 p.m., still on the same bus as earlier. He tried to get Tristan's attention, but it didn't work. So the friend got off at the next stop and walked to the train station to try and find it. He couldn't. After a little while of searching, the friend just left. About 20 minutes go by, and another student walking home saw Tristan sitting on a bench alone at the train station. And at this point, nothing was out of the ordinary. The last time Tristan was ever seen alive was about an hour later, and this time he was at a park directly across from the train station. This was the Bruno Ash Anlage Park, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Tristan never made it home that day, and roughly 40 minutes later, his body would be found. A couple of children were walking home that day and discovered Tristan's body in the Liederbach Tunnel, which is a pedestrian tunnel that runs along an underground section of the Liederbach River. The kids ran back to the school to tell their teachers, and within the hour, police would be notified. This was an incredibly gruesome scene. Tristan had been beaten past the point of unconsciousness and strangled, but that isn't what killed him. His throat had been cut from ear to ear, the wound so deep that his spine was visible, and this is what ultimately killed him. But it gets worse, so just brace yourself. Tristan's area, as well as the flesh from his body, had been removed as well, and to this day, none of it has been found. He'd also been stabbed numerous times. The knife that killed him was laying on the concrete right next to him, and whoever did this staged his body to make it look like he was sleeping. What's absolutely horrible is that 3 teenagers actually witnessed Tristan being killed. Although at the time, they didn't know that that's what they were witnessing. But they weren't the only ones who saw Tristan's killer. The first person to see him was a 12-year-old little girl who was walking through the tunnel on that fateful day. She saw this man at about 3:50 p.m., so 30 minutes after he killed Tristan, popping out from behind a bush. He was wearing a hat and had a long ponytail dangling from behind. Another person who saw this killer was a paralegal in the area, who said this man came up to him and said, quote, "I just got out of prison and I've already screwed up," end quote, before leaving. So all of these people were interviewed and gave their description of the killer. The man was between 20 and 30 years old. He either had a repaired cleft lip or a big scar on his lip. Overall, he was just very unkempt. Some thought he looked homeless. From those descriptions, police were able to put together this composite sketch of the suspect, which was shared worldwide. It gave them some hope that the killer would soon be found, but sadly, that was not the case. Based on evidence at the scene, investigators believe that Tristan was quickly ambushed and killed near the river and then left to bleed out. Then the killer dragged his body to the tunnel where he proceeded to mutilate it. This all happened within 15 minutes. I know some might not think that 15 minutes is a long time, but this was a public park and tunnel. So the fact that he managed to do all of this in 15 minutes without one single person stopping him is so scary. After the composite sketch was released, someone close to Tristan's family came forward and said that she is certain that she saw this killer before. And even more creepy, she saw him with Tristan in the days leading up to the murder. The last woman that ever saw Tristan alive says that she believes she also saw his killer, but her description was a little bit different. That day, the woman was sitting on a bench in the park when Tristan sat down next to her. He was alone at this point, and he was smoking a cigarette. After the two had some small talk, the woman got up to leave, but as she turned around and looked back at him, she saw 2 men sit down on both sides of him. One of them looked pretty similar to the composite sketch. Tristan would be murdered 20 minutes later, not even half a mile away. So while his family was forced to have his funeral, the killer was still out there on the loose. And just one day after the funeral, a possible break in the case happened. It came in the form of a phone call. The supposed killer called the police, confessed to killing Tristan, gave them his description, and told them that he'd be waiting for them at the train station near where Tristan was killed. But when police arrived, he was nowhere to be found. Part of this phone call was released to the public, but this caller has never been identified.
Christian Mörder ist hier. Sind Sie? Ja. Und Sie wollen sich selber stellen, oder was? Ja. Ja? Wo sind Sie denn jetzt? Frankfurt Höchst. Frankfurt Höchst? Ja, und wo dort? Am Höchstbahnhof. Am Bahnhof? Ja. Umgebracht. Sie haben ihn umgebracht? Ja. Wie sehen Sie denn aus? Wie groß? 1,80. 1,80. Haare? Schwarze. Schwarze Haare.
Police did what they could to locate this maniac, but it was like he just vanished into thin air. 1 year after Tristan's murder, police found his backpack in a forest about 15 miles away from where he was killed. In it was a road map of Germany, all in the Czech language. This map did not belong to Tristan. He couldn't even speak Czech, and because it was linked to his killer, police expanded their search to the Czech Republic and Slovakia, but they could never trace him down. Over the years, there have been many false leads and potential suspects, one of which caught investigators' eye. Was a local man named Manfred Seal, who was a very well-respected member of the community. A very unsuspecting guy, but when he died in 2014, his daughter found some horrifying things in one of his storage units. She found human remains, as well as a diary in which he drew pictures of real-life murders. Police then found that Manfred was unknowingly a serial killer who took the lives of 5 women between 1971 and 2004. I want to be clear, though, that police found no physical evidence linking him to Tristan's case. The victim profile was completely different, but Manfred lived close to Tristan, which is what caught their eye. He would also mutilate and keep his victims' genitals, much like in Tristan's story. Ultimately, in 2017, he was ruled out as a suspect in Tristan's case, but he was still a really creepy guy. The only other suspect came to light in 2020, and honestly, it's pretty shocking, at least to me. Police stated that this man, Christian Bruckner, could be tied to Tristan's case. What's so shocking to me is that this man is also the prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, as well as other child disappearances and assaults all over the place. He's currently in prison being held on unrelated charges, but police believe that he could be involved because of his similar perversions, a roadmap to Germany found in Tristan's backpack, and how similar he looks to the composite sketch of this killer. And I'll be honest, when I first started researching this case, I saw the composite sketch, and before I even knew anything about it, I honestly thought that it was Christian Bruckner. Update on this was in 2020, so I'm not sure if anything will ever come of it. But if he is responsible, I hope he gets charged accordingly so that Tristan, as well as Madeleine McCann's family, can receive justice. As if this case couldn't get any more disturbing, in 1999, someone broke into the cemetery where Tristan was buried at night and dug up his coffin. His coffin was never opened, but this is still just horrible. Police believe that whoever did this is just one disturbed person, not someone who is actually connected to this case. Sadly, Tristan's dad, the only member of the Brubach family left, died in 2015, not ever knowing who took his son's life. This is one of the saddest and most disturbing cases I have ever come across, and I just can't believe it is still unsolved. But it's now been 27 years, and whoever did this to Tristan is still out there, and why he did it remains a mystery.
Just when I thought it could not get any more disturbing, this case comes up. And what's even more disturbing is the fact that this dude is walking free right now and he was never discovered. Overall gruesomeness of this crime makes it 100 times more disturbing, and the fact that he was not caught and he's still free. But rest in peace to this kid. Nobody deserves to go through something like this. This is a very sick and gruesome act, and I hope that guy gets whatever's coming to him.
It is 2025 and the JonBenet Ramsey case is still unsolved. But I did find some eerie connections that I haven't heard anyone talk about. One of JonBenet's friends, Megan, her mother had did an interview with police. The mother of her friend Megan recalled that JonBenet had mentioned a secret post-Christmas visit from Santa. It states some investigators believe this referred to Bill McReynolds, a family friend who played Santa at the Ramsey Christmas parties and had a close relationship with JonBenet. In fact, here we see JonBenet, Burke, and the rest of the Ramseys with Bill McReynolds. So keep in mind that this man is playing Santa at their Christmas party. So I guess it must just be coincidence that at a Christmas party on December 23rd at the Ramsey home, there was a random 911 call that was accidental. Mind you, this hypothetically would be the same party that this man was at. Disturbingly enough, people have hypothesized this might have been to test the police's reaction time, which is crazy to think about. Oh, but the Santa rabbit hole goes much deeper. The same man who played Santa, Bill McReynolds, his wife happened to do a play, and wait till you hear what the play's all about. It's really hard to find information on this, but the play is called Hey Rube, and it's from the 1970s. The play, written by this man's wife, quite literally is about a young girl being abducted and found in a basement. Oh, and it gets even worse. Just so happens that the McReynolds' daughter, when she was 9 in 1974, was abducted as well. I want everybody to keep in mind this is all alleged. And it's also been reported that McReynolds submitted his DNA and was cleared of being a suspect. But the Santa connection overall is eerie. The 911 call from the party that he was at. How about that his wife literally made a play about a ritualistic you-know-what? There is so much off about this case. Comment below with anything I missed as well as any suggestions for future videos. Wake up.
I've heard enough stories about Santa Claus. At this rate, he's gonna come down my chimney and smack me with his jingle bells and then just leave my house. Like, I'm good, bro. You could stay in the North Pole or wherever you at. Like, I'm good.
Bradley Cooper don't look like Bradley Cooper no more. And if you start to notice, in Hollywood, celebrities is all trending this way. A lot of celebrities in Hollywood is starting to change in ways that don't make sense. Look at his eyes, their faces, the whole energy is off. They're slowly becoming unrecognizable. And Hollywood is playing a big role in this, I believe. And I don't think it's surgery or age, y'all. I feel like it's something deeper, something more spiritual. It's like they're trading piece by piece of their soul for fame. And once it's all done, what's left of them walking around is not them anymore. Hollywood don't change people. It replaces them.
Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if your favorite part of the video made you tremble in your boots. And we're going to be on to the next one.